The wave soothes my soul. The vast expanse of the boundless ocean stretches before me, a canvas of eternal blue meeting the endless sky. As my thoughts wander the corridors of time, they trace the footsteps of my past, where shadows and secrets once dwelt. A weight, heavy as the anchors of a forgotten shipwreck, once clung to my heart, a burden of guilt and remorse that cast long shadows over my existence. Yet, in this quiet moment on the shore, I find solace in the realization of my transformation. Like the phoenix rising from the ashes, I have evolved into a new self, reborn from the ashes of yesterday's choices. Lessons have been learned, amends made. It is time to release the shackles of self-condemnation and allow forgiveness to spread its wings within me. The past need no longer hold me captive, nor need I whip myself for its transgressions. His blood and sacrifice, like a gentle tide, can wash away the imprints of yesterday. The Bible says, "This is the judgment, that the light can come into this world, and men love the darkness rather than the light, for their deeds are evil. For everyone who does evil hates the light and doesn't come to the light, lest his works be exposed. But everyone who does the truth comes to light, so that his works may be revealed as having been done in God." Well, I choose the light, whatever the price. Life, like the ceaseless dance of the waves, flows in an eternal ebb and flow. Just as the tides erase the footprints etched in the sand, I can surrender the imprints of my past to the one who said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." It is a liberation to know that I do not have the power to shape my destiny, but thank God I now know who has the power to set me free and give me a new beginning. As I linger in this moment, surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of this seaside sanctuary, I extend kindness and compassion to myself. I embrace this new chapter of my life with a tender nostalgia of remembrance and the joyful anticipation of what lies ahead.
My truth may not be your truth. I can't let go of this sentence. Why does it bother me so much? I don't know, but I am sure of one thing. It is the most bizarre thing I heard in a while. A flood of questions come to mind. Is there a multitude of truths? Can the truth be two-faced? Or maybe many-faced? Why does everyone insist on convincing others they are right? What is the foundation of truth? Perhaps truth is not a heavenly decree, but a fabric that is woven from the strands of human experience and reason, ever expanding with the march of knowledge. Or is it? I don't know. I don't care how the truth is defined. No matter how hard I try not to think about it, I just think about it. Am I growing up? I don't know. I hate it when my answer is, "I don't know," to a bunch of questions. I am definitely changing and growing. Knowing you don't have all the answers and being okay with that, I am definitely growing. It made me happy to know that I'm growing. I was, however, brought back to the question of truth. I definitely am sure truth is not a mere illusion, but a solid rock illuminated by the divine. After all, a great teacher named Jesus once said in prayer, "Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth," indicating that sanctification comes from truth and that God's word is the only absolute truth. Or perhaps truth is not a static rock. It may be a river, ever flowing, ever changing, yet eternally the same. Truth may be an inward journey, a dance of balance and harmony, where ethical living springs from the well of self-knowledge and compassion. In this river of ever-changing self-awareness, I wondered, is there not a danger of being swept away by the currents of moral relativism? An absolute truth, like a beacon, offers guidance through the moral mist, grounded in divine authority. Must we not also acknowledge that a lighthouse shines only on paths already traveled? Morality, then, is not dictated from on high, but discovered by living in harmony with all existence. Could it be, then, that our moral compass is calibrated by the good of humanity, anchored in what is tangible and verifiable? Wait a minute, wait. Is a compass swayed by societal trends not vulnerable to the follies of humanity? A divine moral compass points unwaveringly north, guided by an unchanging divine will, providing safe harbor in the storms of moral uncertainty. As the ancient texts of the Bible, which have endured through the ages, affirm, "Of old you have laid the foundations of the earth. They will perish, but you will remain. You are the same, and your years have no end." And then, as if in a climax, truth herself seemed to speak. "Test me," she says. "Test me with reason and evidence. Test me with measurements or methods you think fit. Do you think that reason and evidence can overshadow me? No, for in time you will see how they complement and glorify me." And I heard reason and evidence singing praises to truth, saying, "You stand still, O truth, from God you spring, a reflection of the divine, eternal King. Like the steadfast sun in the heavens high, your light pierces through the veil of sky. Unmoved, unchanging in celestial might, a beacon from the Almighty, burning bright. In your glow, the shadows of ignorance flee, revealing wisdom's depth for all to see. You stand still, O truth, in God's own hand, a testament to his perfect, grand plan. In the fabric of creation, you are the seam, a divine thread in the cosmic dream. You stand still, O truth from heaven's gate, immutable, resolute, truly great. In your light, we find our way, our guide, with God's own truth as our constant side."
In the quiet stillness of the room, where only the faint tick-tock of a distant clock dares to intrude, a soul sits in turmoil. Frustration and confusion intertwine, weaving a heavy cloak that drapes over the spirit. Despair grips tightly as hands bury into hair, a physical manifestation of the internal chaos. The silence, deafening, is a stark contrast to the cacophony of thoughts raging within. A soul caught in a relentless, torturous cycle where will is shackled and judgment clouded. Each step, each decision seems stained, tainted by an inescapable compulsion. It's a path walked with the best of intentions, yet invariably it veers into darkness. Like a distant observer, one watches the self spiral downwards, a puppet ensnared by strings of unseen forces. The heart yearns for escape, for redemption, for just one moment of crystal clear clarity. Yet actions, those treacherous actions, betray the deepest of values. In this labyrinth, self-made and self-sustaining, the path to freedom seems forever obscured. In this moment of despair, the words of the Bible echo, resonating deep within the soul. Romans 7:18-23 speaks directly, a reflection of the inner turmoil. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who does it, but it is sin living in me that does it. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. For in my inner being, I delight in God's law, but I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. The passage mirrors the struggle, the internal war between flesh and spirit, the battle between sin and righteousness. Why, God? Why? The cry ascends to the heavens. Should one die to the flesh? How does that even work? The soul acknowledges its limitations, its inability to change through sheer force of will. In humility, it surrenders, reaching out to a higher power. Oh, what a wretched man I am! Who will deliver me from this body of death? The plea for salvation rings out, a call for divine intervention in the depths of despair. It's a surrender, a recognition that salvation cannot come from within, but must be sought from above. The resolution forms, a rebirth, a transformation not by human hands, but through divine grace. To be born anew, not of flesh, but of spirit, through the redeeming power of Jesus Christ. It's a call to shed the old self, to let go of earthly desires, and to embrace a new identity, reborn and remade in the image of the divine. In this moment of surrender, the soul finds strength. No longer bound by the chains of self, it is free to boast in the name of the Savior, the Redeemer. Here, at the end of self, begins the journey of the new man, born of God, ready to walk a path illuminated by divine light. The journey is not easy, but it is righteous. And in this righteousness, there is hope. There is salvation.
Throughout my life, I've worn many guises, yet the most enduring was that of the blameless dancer, moving through relationships with a kind of rhythmic certainty that the missteps were never mine. No one can judge me became my silent mantra, a shield against the world and its endless reflections. It was a declaration of independence, a sovereignty of the self that I believed was impenetrable, absolute. Yet, as I journey deeper into the essence of my being, I find myself standing at the edge of a vast and silent expanse. It is here, in this space of stillness, that the notion of judgment begins to unravel, not with the force of argument, but with the gentle unraveling of understanding. The first question I asked myself was, why is it that I am, where I always was? It seems like I was running in circles, always to come back where I started. No one can judge me. These words, once a fortress, now seem more like the walls of a prison, isolating me from progress and accountability. For if we are to entertain this premise, do we not then ignore the whispers of conscience, the moral law written upon our hearts by a divine hand? It is a peculiar thing, conscience. It serves not as a tyrant, but as a guide, a reminder that we are not the sole authors of truth and morality. I find now that ego thrives in pointing fingers to others. But what if in the insistence that I am beyond judgment, I am merely reinforcing the ego's illusion, ignoring the deeper reality of being human, which is the inevitable journey of falling and standing back up? It's funny, isn't it, how life has a way of making you eat your words. I remember how I used to say, "He's not good enough," "He doesn't understand me," or "He's just like the rest." It was easier, to blame them than to take a hard look at myself, to admit that maybe, just maybe, I was part of the problem too. Ooh, that was unthinkable. When I say now that mantra "no one can judge me" is not doing it for me, it's not meant to say that everybody should be empowered with a gavel and robe, but rather to acknowledge a higher court, one presided over by the supreme authority, by God Himself. It is He who sets the stars in their courses, who paints the sky with the hues of dawn and dusk, and it is He who etches upon the human heart the very essence of right and wrong, though it is being tainted with sin. To stand beneath the vast expanse of the heavens and declare oneself beyond judgment is like a single wave claiming dominion over the might of the ocean. So, who is fit to judge under the sun? The one who plucked the wood trunk out of his eye echoed in my head. That's right. The one who has been put like gold under fire to cleanse himself or herself. For if there is true love, then it is truly to live, which is to be found under the guidance of that supreme moral authority, embracing not only the judgment we may give, but also the judgment we must accept, all the while seeking to reflect and acknowledging the boundless love and mercy of God.
Oh, this is really something. Standing at the top of a huge mountain, after the hustle and bustle of city life, I am enveloped by the refreshing embrace of nature's majesty. This hike was much needed and brought comfort to my soul. The sense of sheer vastness and stillness of the landscape reminds me of C.S. Lewis's magical world of Narnia. Every leaf rustling in the wind and every bird call feels like a language of its own, as if nature itself is whispering to me. Just like that, my mind started to wander. In the midst of our modern world, a world pulsating with technological marvels and material abundance, a profound realization dawns upon me. Could it be that the very things we hold dear, the tangible comforts and achievements, often become barriers to understanding the deeper essence of our existence? Does nature also redefine its ways? And do trees finally say in its language, "Dear son, from now on you are not that much important for us"? Well, we do seem to be doing that apparently. The immaterial forces, or should I say, powers like truth, love, order, are being redefined and reshaped to suit us instead of us being willing to be shaped by those powers. These immaterial forces, or should I say intangible powers like truth, love, order, once the guiding principles of human existence, are now merely concepts, reshaped to suit our transient desires instead of us being willing to be shaped by those powers. We have contorted the fundamental truths, diluted the essence of love, and redefined God to fit into the convenient molds of our making. We assert our dominance over these sacred elements, forgetting that they are not ours to redefine. Oh, well, I may be wrong, but I find it astonishing as we chase after material success, believing it to be the pinnacle of human achievement. We fail to see the crumbling foundations beneath our feet. The modern world, with all its advancements, stands not as a testament to human strength alone, but as a legacy of time, imbued with a deeper reverence for the divine. It was an era where the fear of God was not an archaic concept, but a guiding force, a moral compass that directed our society towards greater good. Bear in mind, though, The nature of humankind, unchanging through the ages, is capable of both profound goodness and unspeakable evil. In every epoch, the balance of our world has been maintained not by the might of the mighty, but by the humble hearts that feared God and stood steadfast against the tide of evil. These individuals, often unnoticed by the chronicles of history, were the true architects of peace and progress. Today, as we stand at the crossroads, witnessing the unraveling of a world obsessed with materialism, we must pause and reflect. Perhaps it is time to look back, not in nostalgia, but in wisdom, to the principles that once laid the foundation of our societies. The God of the Bible, the source of unchanging truth and love, calls us to a higher purpose beyond our material accomplishments. Oh wow, these mountains really make you go deep. Well, who am I in this whole huge world? If I stand firm for what is right, could I become like those before me who actually change something for the better of humanity? Who knows? Who knows? As I stand at this crossroads, torn between the path I've known and the calling of my faith, a storm rages within me. The weight of responsibility presses down on my shoulders like an unyielding burden. The vision of a stable life, a loving wife, and children fill my thoughts. The thought of being a good man, whatever that may be in these days. On the other hand, a powerful conviction surges from within, urging me to serve God with the gift He has bestowed upon me. It's an undeniable force, tugging at the very core of my being. I can feel the warmth of His presence and the call of my purpose. You have a job which clearly will get you the dreams you have for your family. Surely you are not just going to walk away from it. How can you provide for your family if you choose to serve God? Or maybe you could do both. You don't have necessarily to leave your job, says the flesh. Or should I say, the part of me that looks for assurance from this world? Yet, still, there comes the voice of the Spirit with such a conviction and says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you in due time, casting all your worries on Him, because He cares for you." Is this the moment where my faith stands the test? Will this decision define me as a true disciple? Doubts claw at my resolve, but I cannot ignore the relentless pull towards serving the one who gave me these talents and abilities. Well, I know perfectly and humbly that I am not here by my own strength or ingenuity. I stand on the foundation of His grace, His guidance, and His blessings. Why hesitate now? Why doubt when the very essence of my existence beckons me towards Him? In the end, I choose to surrender to God, my good shepherd. I may not know what the future holds, but I trust in the one who has led me thus far. With a troubled yet unwavering heart, I declare, I choose you, God, my guiding light, my source of strength, my purpose. For in you I find my true calling, and with you I will weather every storm that comes my family's way.
Come on, why are you hesitating?
Give it a shot.
Life is short, you only live once.
You better not. The voice cut through the mist of my dreams, jolting me awake with its familiar sound. A voice I tried desperately to ignore. My father's voice. Even after his death, his words lingered in my mind, both a comfort and a torment. He had been my mentor, my friend, and my relentless commander. His devotion to God was unwavering, and he was dedicated to helping me understand that the ways of the Lord were the truest paths through life. Although I sometimes resisted the spiritual lessons, I knew he was right in many ways. But now that he was gone, I felt adrift and sought solace in unfamiliar places, both spiritually and physically. I began spending time with people my father would have given anything to protect me from. They seemed cool and non-judgmental, welcoming me with open arms. But then came the moment of pressure. "Come on, why are you hesitating? Life is short. Try it. You only live once." In that split second, my father's voice surged back with a fierceness that made my resolve tremble. "Listen up, this whole YOLO mentality. It's a trap designed to keep you broke, average, and far from the winner's circle. You think life's short? That's the first mistake. Life is long if you know how to use it right. You only live once, sure, but if you're living right, once is all you need." I vividly remember him speaking that night as we watched a commercial for vaping. The slogan plastered across the screen read, "YOLO," and so my father, unwavering in his convictions, began his lecture. On the surface, YOLO seems to celebrate freedom, encouraging us to seize the day with wild recklessness. But if you want to live by YOLO, let's rethink it. You only live once means you have one chance to make it count, one chance to build a legacy, to cultivate a mindset that can weather any storm. It's about discipline, the relentless pursuit of excellence, and never settling for average. And if you want to live a life worth living, live for the glory of God, he said. His words echoed through my mind like a guardian angel as I stood on the brink of a terrible decision, pressured by my so-called friends. "No, thank you," I said firmly, stepping away from the temptation. At that moment, I felt my father's spirit guiding me back to the path of faith. Maybe it was time to get serious about the Bible and the Lord's teachings. Perhaps the ancient wisdom my father had always emphasized was indeed the right way to live. We are doing it again, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of fact, we've never stopped from doing it. We are back to a theme as old as time itself, yet unfailingly personal in its torment. I had always been intrigued by the moral dichotomies that defined human existence, but recent events in the world outside, a world increasingly fractured by discord and moral ambiguity, had deepened my inquiry into a quest for understanding. It's as if we're all ensnared in a timeless narrative, replaying a scene from the dawn of creation. I recall the story where a serpent cunningly asks, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" And just like the woman in the garden, humanity seems perpetually drawn to the forbidden, convinced that what is denied to us must somehow hold the key to wisdom and enlightenment. When she saw that the fruit was good for food and pleasing to the eye and also desirable for gaining wisdom, it's as though she's standing in for all of us, reaching out with hubristic hands to seize autonomy over good and evil. Here we are, millennia later, still grappling with the same insatiable desire to define divinity on our own terms. To be like God, well, good luck with that. I say this with a heavy heart, but to assume the power to delineate the bounds of morality is a task for which we are woefully ill-equipped. History is littered with the fallout of our hubris, yet here we are, seemingly intent on repeating the same mistakes. We cloak our ambitions in the noblest of intentions, seeking to sculpt a more inclusive, tolerant, and enlightened society. Yet, more often than not, these endeavors backfire, leaving us to ponder the ruins of our best-laid plans. Friedrich Nietzsche's proclamation that God is dead haunts me. echoing the vacuum left by the erosion of divine authority. It's a chilling indictment of our era, a testament to the folly of believing we can usurp the throne of the divine without consequence. We think we can overthrow God. Friedrich Nietzsche famously stated, "God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was the holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves?" Well, this is the time where humanity, tolerance, and diversity is preached more than ever. We are more technologically advanced than ever. Who would think this will be the time period in history where confusion, illness, and delusion will be this high? The modern creed insists with unyielding persistence, "Be nothing but yourself. You are fine just the way you are." Yet, when has this mantra ever truly served the advancement of civilization? Since when do our feelings have the final say on our lives? Are we to overlook the foundational pillars upon which our societies stand, built upon the noble ideals of self-improvement, recognizing our inherent imperfections and the commitment to rational thought and decisive action? Are we to disregard the sacred obligations of responsibility and accountability that have guided us through the ages? The irony is as biting as it is undeniable. In our audacious quest to dethrone God, do we genuinely envision ourselves stepping into a realm of unbridled freedom? To entertain such a notion is to wade into dangerously naive waters. For in casting aside the divine, we do not liberate ourselves from the yoke of worship. Rather, we merely shift our devotions to altars of our own hasty construction. The truth, as stark as it is unforgiving, is that we will never escape the intrinsic need to bow before something. As in my case, I find a singular truth ringing clear. I choose to worship and stand in awe of the one who is the very embodiment of good. This is not a choice born of naivety or a failure to grasp the complexities of our world. It is, instead, a deliberate stance, a recognition that in the vast expanse of existence, there lies a moral compass that cannot be redefined by human hands, however well-intentioned they may be. Think about it. If morality is just a social construct, which can be modified any time, why do we think, feel, and assume we need morality at all? If there is no divine law given, then everything is justifiable, which means no reason to have a morality of good and evil in the first place. As C.S. Lewis would put it, if the whole universe has no meaning, we should never have found out that it has no meaning. Just as, if there were no light in the universe, and therefore no creatures with eyes, we should never know it was dark. Dark would be without meaning.
I've decided. No more pretending. God doesn't exist. The Bible is just a collection of stories, nothing more, nothing less. I've spent too much time living in fear of some invisible being. Today marks the beginning of my freedom. I've tossed my Bible into the attic, out of sight, out of mind, right? I feel a strange sense of liberation, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. But there's a small, nagging voice in the back of my mind, whispering doubts. I ignore it, pushing forward into what I hope will be a new chapter of my life. The other day I went to the park, needed to clear my head, to bask in the simplicity of nature. I found a quiet bench and sat down, minding my own business. As I watched the leaves dance in the breeze, a street preacher appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. He started reciting verses from the Bible with fervor and conviction. My heart pounded with every word, and I felt a tightening in my chest. I quickly walked away, but the feeling lingered, like an echo that wouldn't fade. Why can't I shake this off? I can't read thoughts, but it seems others are not even bothered by it a bit. Even though I've concluded that God doesn't exist, deep down there's this conviction that He is there, and I'm just trying to bury it for the sake of living as I want. Once I came across an old family photo. We were at church, all smiles and dressed in our Sunday best. I felt a pang of nostalgia, a longing for the simplicity and warmth of those days. Almost reached for my Bible, almost. I told myself that I was only a kid who can't think critically at the time the photo was taken. So am I being clever and wise now that I've decided the Bible is not to be taken seriously? But why does the past feel so comforting? Why does it call to me with such a gentle, persistent voice? I had a long conversation with an old friend. He's a devout Christian, always has been. Tried to steer clear of the topic, but he brought it up, told me he's praying for me. I felt a mix of anger and sadness. Why can't people just let me be? Yet deep down there's a small part of me that's grateful. Confusing. His words lingered long after the conversation ended, stirring emotions I thought I had buried. In my search for freedom and fulfillment, I threw myself into a wild lifestyle. Parties, drinking and sleeping with women like there was no tomorrow. At first it felt exhilarating, like I was finally living life on my own terms. But every morning after a night out, the shame and regret were relentless. The thrill of the night faded into the harsh reality of morning, and I was left to face the consequences of my actions. I wanted to believe that I was free, that I was living the life I wanted, but deep down, I knew I was running away from the truth like the prophet Jonah did, from the inner conflict that refused to be silenced. There was a hollow emptiness that no amount of fun or pleasure could fill. It was like chasing a high that always left me crashing down harder each time. Guilt gnawed at me, whispering that this wasn't the way to true happiness. Can this feeling of emptiness be proof that God exists? It's a question that haunts me. Why does the void persist, despite all my efforts to fill it? Maybe it's an indication of a deeper spiritual longing, a sign that there's something greater out there, something beyond this material world. Or perhaps it's just a part of the human condition, a universal experience that everyone faces regardless of their beliefs. I tried to remind myself that it's possible to live a meaningful life without believing in a God. Many people find purpose and fulfillment through relationships, personal growth, and contributing to the well-being of others. They create their own sense of meaning through their actions and experiences. Maybe that's the path I need to follow, embracing the freedom to define my own values and purpose. Perhaps in doing so I can find peace and satisfaction, filling the emptiness with a life well lived on my own terms. Well, this doesn't help as well, at least in my case. It felt like what the Apostle Paul said one time in Athens. He made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the surface of the earth, having determined appointed seasons and the boundaries of their dwellings, that they should seek the Lord, if perhaps they might reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us, was directed to me. Should I return and submit to Jesus? You see, that's what I'm saying even now. I'm remembering one scenario from the Bible where the prophet Jonah tried to run but inevitably comes back to his calling after a life-threatening incident. I feel like God is talking to me through his revealed words in the Bible. It is exactly as the psalmist sang in Psalm 139, verses 6 to 12.
Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you.
In the bustling chaos of a street teeming with life, where the ceaseless movement of people and vehicles forms a never-ending flow, some in rush as if their life depends on it, and some moving to whatever their destination might be, and I found myself utterly alone, lost in my own bubble of thoughts. The world around me had faded into mere shadows. It's like the world around me turned into background noise. My steps were aimless, my heart ensnared in a realm of introspection, my visage a testament to the depth of my contemplation. Words eluded me, trapped beneath the monumental burden that pressed upon my shoulders, a monolith within my chest, suffocating the breath of utterance. All that managed to escape my lips, directed towards the heavens in a fleeting glance, was a whisper of existential bewilderment. How? Why? Why did you choose me? How could you possibly choose to reveal yourself to me? This situation presents a paradox of extraordinary nature. The concept of salvation compared against my past, a narrative filled with misdeeds, underscores a profound disparity between my actions and the unmerited mercy extended by the divine. As the day surrendered to the enchanting hues of dusk, my soul wrestled with this mystery. The question arises, how could the divine, with omniscient gaze, survey the landscape of my existence, marred by errors and failures, and choose to open my heart to the light of the gospel and the concept of salvation? I look at all the people around me. Do they know you, God? Have you changed their hearts like you did mine, to recognize their ways and come back to you? Despite the multitude of souls far more deserving than I, it was I whom you called. You extended the promise of redemption, a fresh start cloaked in a gospel perceived by many as utter foolishness. But I guess that's just it, isn't it? Your ways aren't our ways. Your wisdom, it confounds the wise. Your strength is made perfect in our weakness. A faint smile breaks across my face, a tear trailing down my cheek. I can't really express what I was feeling. A mix of joy and relief and fear, I guess. You chose me not because of who I was, but because of who you are. Merciful, gracious, loving beyond comprehension.